this week's topic for the Warhammer topic of the week is the top 10 things to change in 8th, or the top 10 things we hate about 8th edition. My take, or what I'm going to do in this video, is kind of go over the top 10 things I hated in 8th and what I would do to fix them. Just a little bit so you have a kind of a heads up. I really like history and reading about historical accounts of battles and everything. So generally when I would like to see more realism, and I know that's kind of funny in a fantasy game, but basically if there were things that reflected how combat actually really worked from the ancient to in that ancient period of time to medieval period, that would be fantastic. I would love that. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but here we go. Alright, number 10, terrain. Just like this forest here, terrain in 8th edition really didn't do anything, which I absolutely hated. So in 7th edition you had things like forests actually did something. They slowed down any movement going through it. You could only see so far into a forest, and they blocked line of sight past that point. Terrain mattered a big deal, and I really enjoyed that aspect. Just like in real life, terrain has a big impact on battles and how battles were fought in history and even today. So that really bothered me, the fact that in my local game store, pretty much most games were just played with pieces of felt, because it didn't really matter if you had actually trees on the table. Not only would that look better, but since true line of sight, it didn't really. You're not going to actually have a forest that's dense enough so you couldn't see through it. So I would absolutely bring back terrain rules so that they actually made an impact, not just a random impact, as in my horse tripped over and my guy impaled himself, or on a 1 in 6 chance something might happen, or trees get rapey if someone casts a spell nearby or something like that. I mean actual real rules where like things like forests slowed down any types of infantry or formed units going through them. Rivers actually slow you down. Hills block line of sight. Things like that would be fantastic to see. Number 9 is true line of sight. I don't understand why in a miniatures game, especially a fantasy mass battle game, where you have terrain that's generally sparse so that you could actually play the game and enjoy it, why true line of sight was even introduced. It might work in 40k if you have a crazy dense urban landscape that you can hide behind all things all the time, but in the games that I personally, at least I've played, the table can't even be close to be called dense terrain. It's too hard to even move your miniatures around if it were like that. So true line of sight is absolutely ridiculous. It should just be if you have a hero hiding behind your unit of infantry, no one can really see that. They'd have to draw, I guess, maybe like a uninterrupted line from your unit, but not, hey, yeah, I can see him, through the 30 guys in front of him. Absolutely, I can see his sword tip, so I'm gonna shoot him in the face with a cannon. It's just silly. So get rid of true line of sight. Have it where unless you can draw an uninterrupted line from your unit, you can't see them. Number 8 is having larger units having to form to smaller units. I don't really know how you would fix this with how the rules in 8th are written. If you could either have it where larger units can just completely ignore smaller units, or at least maybe the smaller units have to change their facing to the larger unit. I don't really know. That would kind of be up to any of you guys that are doing 8.5 to kind of figure out. But all I know is that this is incredibly frustrating. It just doesn't make any sense that you can have these little units of fast cav, or like in this picture up here, which I pulled from. I think this came from the the Round Table of Bretonia. Love you guys over there, but this is showing how, having a guy on a Pegasus with the Worm Lance, kind of a strategy how to use him. But what it demonstrates is how this large unit of however many guys they're doing a 120-degree turn just to chase this one guy in a Pegasus, because they can't just ignore him. They have to hit him to even move forward with the game, and it's not necessary. Yeah. So someone please, if we're gonna continue with playing 8th edition, fix this, please. Number 7 is the end times. I don't even know if this even needs to even be put into this video, since we're talking about 8th edition. But since end times is kind of the end of 8th edition, let's just ignore that this even happened. I mean, some of the rules are cool, but I don't think I really liked most of what was added here. It just seemed to add a lot of frustration to the community, even though some of it's cool as far as tournaments go for the future. Let's just ignore this stuff. I think that would be for the best. We could maybe keep the 50% Lords and Heroes, but even that I could easily live without. So, yeah. Number 6 is Conga Lining, or reforming to gain extra movement. This is another kind of really gamey thing that people like to do. I don't think I ever really ended up doing this myself because I didn't really understand how or why this should have worked. But basically, I don't even know if this is a good picture to demonstrate because I don't think the legitimate player in this picture is even doing this. But basically, taking your unit, doing a quick reform to really do a conga line, make it as stretch it out as far as possible, and then moving into a building, things like that, or just doing gamey shenanigan things. This is I just really don't like it. I absolutely hated doing it. I don't know how you would fix it, other than maybe doing your quick. You could just do it with a simple rule of no model during the movement phase can move more than double its movement, because certainly by doing this there'd be something that's moving more than double its movement. So basically you couldn't go one model after reforming and getting your extra movement can't move more than double its movement characteristic. I think that would nip that right in the butt. But I don't know. I'll leave that again up to you guys moving forward. But that would be my 2 cents anyway. Number 5, as this picture is trying to represent, is making way. So I'm sure it's kind of like how this picture's showing is the rules maybe were intended for characters to make way and fight each other, and it'd be awesome, and we roll some dice and have lots of fun. It'd be great. In practice, what was really frustrating about this is you could completely outmaneuver your opponent, or you yourself are outmaneuvered. You get hit in the flank or the rear, and your crazy awesome beat your face in character just can pop to the back. No problem. It didn't matter if you got hit from the side or the rear. You could just easily compensate for that by just moving your crazy awesome character to the back and deal with whatever it was that did that. I really hated that. Basically, it didn't reward you at all for maneuvering well. So how I would remedy that is I don't mind basically reforming after combat. So, at least basically give that person that had the edge in maneuvering, that actually got a rear or a flank charge, or got that character out of position, let them at least have one round of combat where everyone isn't going to just jumps to that side and starts walloping on people. Give them at least one round. After that, just do a combat reform and bring in your super awesome beefy characters and kill everything, and everything will be cool. I'm fine with that. Just not. It's just like easy mode. I don't know. Another thing that I did not like. Number 4 is how battle standard bearers gave leadership reroll checks for absolutely everything. So not just rerolling for break checks, which is what I think the only thing that battle standard bearers should be giving. but leadership rerolls for every single type of leadership check. So panic check, fear check, reform check, swift reform check. Basically, it made the leadership phase of the game pretty much pointless. So basically, you just had to stay within that 12-inch bubble of your BSB plus and/or your general, and more than likely, you were just going to pass everything that you wanted to do. Get rid of that rule, please. Just have BSBs just re-roll route checks or morale checks or whatever for in combat, and everything else. Let it just be that one roll. You can still get your bonus from your general, but just because you see your preloaded flag just doesn't mean you're gonna absolutely re-roll for absolutely everything that you can do in the game. All right, number 3. Number 3 is all of those spells that just remove models. No ward save, no armor save, no ward save. Just take that model off the board. I didn't like those spells done to me. I didn't like using those spells, but we all used them. Absolutely hated those. Just weren't really any fun for anyone. So basically, I think how I would remedy that is I would keep getting rid of the just no ward saves. No ward saves, no armor saves due to the prevalency of ward saves in 8th edition. But what I would do is change it, so just remove the model from the game or off the table to you do d6 wounds. So at least the guy or gal you're playing against has a chance. It's not just automatic. Take it off. Number 2, cannons, and the fact that they were like laser guided. When did that happen? Well, we all know when that happened. That was when pre-measuring happened, is when all the cannons became laser guided. So that, it was just horrible. Made monsters, taking monsters pretty much stupid to do. Yeah, so basically I would change that instantly. I don't know how you get rid of it once you have pre-measuring in. But these laser guided cannons that we played with throughout all of 8th edition were absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely hated them. It's basically like, oh, there's a cannon across the board. Well, most of the stuff that I have that's not huge blocks of infantry are going to be absolutely worthless. Made all the cool fantasy aspects of Warhammer silly to take, which seems redundant since we were playing a game called Warhammer Fantasy. So yeah, I don't know if we could, for those of you that are looking to rewrite rules for 8.5, if you're going to keep prey measuring, add elements of randomness so that maybe the cannonballs don't go the way you want them to. Like you have like a variety of angles that they come out the end of the gun, or increase the randomness somehow. I don't know, but the laser guided cannons were absolutely ridiculous. Hated them a lot. And the number one thing I hated the most about 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy is Steadfast. Steadfast was horrible. I know that a lot of you guys probably really like Steadfast, but what I hated about it was that the only way to get rid of it was to have more ranks than your enemy, and that was the only way. This is how you easily remedy the Steadfast issue, and getting rid of stupid units like this that you see on the board of like 100 goblins. How are you going to get rid of this thing's Steadfast? You have to like drive it into the ground, which is just ridiculous. Anyway, easily done. You just have a unit. If you flank a unit that has at least one rank, so if it's infantry, you can have at least a unit of 5 or 10. Cavalry, unless you're Bretonians, it's going to be 10 cavalry in the flank or rear. Monstrous infantry, you have at least 6 that are hitting you in the flank or rear. Basically, if you do that, it gets rid of their Steadfast ability. Easily done. Bam. Makes this game fantastic. Makes maneuvering and hitting people in the rear or the flank actually a good thing to do. Otherwise, pretty much you just have to, this game just turns into a meat grinder. And this made the big, huge hordes of guys amazing, because it didn't matter what you did with them. If you hit them in the front, they're fine, they're steadfast. Hit them in the flank, oh, that's going to hurt for a round, but good thing I have a bajillion guys. I'm just going to stick around forever because I'm steadfast. And I have my rerollable BSB and my general. I'm cool. Yeah, just made for me anyway at the beginning, until I had like my enlightenment that this game was just a silly game and it's just fun to play. Really frustrating. So with that one simple change, this game becomes incredibly more tactical, and you could have, the things that actually happened. Somewhat you could draw from history, where even though if you might be outnumbered, if you outmaneuver your opponent, you could win the day. Which are some of the coolest things to learn about and try to redo in an incredible, fantastical setting such as Warhammer Fantasy. Alright, everyone. Well, so that was my top 10 of how the things I most hated about Warhammer Fantasy 8th Edition. And hopefully some of the things, my little tidbits of what I would do to fix them, maybe if they're helpful at all to anyone that might be doing an 8.5, that'd be great. Anyway, I'll catch you guys all later. Hope you have a good week, and look forward to seeing all the things you hated too. All right, see you guys.